My neighbor demanded I let him use my Wi-Fi, insisting, "It's not like you'll even notice if I'm on it." When I refused, he scoffed. "Wow, you're so selfish." The next day, I found him trying to hack into my router, only to realize I had a security system that alerted me instantly. His smug face crumbled when he got a cease-and-desist letter and a visit from the police. I never thought something as simple as Wi-Fi could turn into an all-out war, but here we are. I live in a quiet neighborhood in Dallas, Texas. It's nothing fancy, just a regular suburban street with people who mostly keep to themselves. That's exactly how I like it. Then there's Craig. Craig moved in a year after me. At first, I didn't think much about him, just another guy, another house, another neighbor I wouldn't really interact with. But from the moment we met, I could tell he had that energy. You know the type, always looking for a shortcut, always expecting something for free, always the victim when things don't go his way. The first time I talked to him, it was because he knocked on my door, asking for my Wi-Fi password. It was a Saturday morning. I had just finished making coffee when I heard a knock at my door. I opened it, and there stood Craig, holding his phone. "Craig. Hey man. Quick question, what's your Wi-Fi password?" I actually laughed because I thought he was joking. Me. What? Craig. Your Wi-Fi. What's the password? Now, keep in mind, we had never talked before. I didn't even know this dude's last name. And yet, here he was, asking for free internet like he was asking to borrow a cup of sugar. Me. Yeah, I don't give out my Wi-Fi. Craig. Oh, come on, it's not like it costs you anything. I'm just one person. Me. Still no. Craig scoffed. Actually scoffed. Craig. Wow, okay. You're one of those people. Whatever, man. He turned and walked away, shaking his head like I was the bad guy. After that, I didn't think much about it. I figured that was the end of it. Just some entitled neighbor annoyed that he couldn't mooch off me. I was wrong. The next day, I was outside watering my plants when Craig walked by. He stopped and said, "Hey, so I tried your Wi-Fi last night. Your password's really hard." I blinked. Me. You tried my Wi-Fi? Craig. Yeah, I guessed a few things. Nothing worked. You should make it easier, man. At this point, I was completely stunned. Who says something like that out loud? Me. Craig, don't try to get into my Wi-Fi. Craig just smirked. Relax, dude. It's just the internet. Then he walked away like nothing happened. That's when I realized Craig wasn't just entitled, he was brazenly entitled. That night, around 11 p.m., my phone buzzed with a notification. It was from my network security system, warning me of multiple failed login attempts on my router. My heart started racing. Someone was actively trying to break into my network. I checked the logs. It wasn't just a few guesses, this was a brute force attack. Someone was running a program to guess my password over and over again. I felt that weird mix of anger and excitement. I'm not a super tech guy, but I know enough to keep my home network locked down. I had firewalls, two-factor authentication, and an alert system for exactly this kind of situation. And now, I had proof that Craig was trying to steal my internet. I didn't do anything right away. I just watched as the attempts continued for 45 minutes. Then they stopped. I went to bed knowing this wasn't over. The next morning, I waited outside. Sure enough, Craig came out to get his mail. Me. Hey Craig. Weird thing, I got a bunch of alerts last night. Someone was trying to hack my Wi-Fi. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you? His face went stiff for a split second. Then he laughed. Craig. Dude, you're paranoid. Me. I never said it was you. His face dropped. Craig. Whatever, man. Maybe your internet just sucks. I let it go, for now. But I wasn't done. I reached out to a friend of mine who works in IT. He walked me through how to pull detailed logs from my router. Sure enough, the attempted hack came from an IP address one house away, Craig's house. I took screenshots. I documented everything. Then, just to be safe, I did something a little petty. I set up a fake Wi-Fi network with a name. Nice try, Craig. That evening, I was sitting on my porch when I saw Craig step outside, phone in hand. The second he saw my new Wi-Fi name, his entire face turned red. Craig. Wow. Real mature dude. Me. You seem to like guessing my password, so I figured I'd make it easier for you. Craig stormed off without another word. But I wasn't done. Craig had already crossed the line by trying to hack into my network. I had the logs, I had proof, and I had a very good lawyer friend who was excited to get involved. We drafted a cease-and-desist letter and sent it to Craig's house. It laid out everything, unauthorized access attempts on a secured network, federal laws regarding hacking and digital trespassing, a warning that if he tried anything again, I'd take legal action. 2 days later, Craig showed up at my door. He was livid. Craig, you're really sending me legal crap over Wi-Fi? Me. No, I'm sending you legal crap because you tried to steal from me. Craig clenched his jaw, crumpled the letter, and threw it on my porch. Craig, you're such a drama queen. Then he walked away. I figured that would be the end of it. I figured wrong. 2 days later, I noticed something strange. My internet kept cutting out. At first, I thought it was a random outage, but then I saw the same hacking attempts in my logs, except this time, they were coming from a VPN. Craig wasn't just doubling down. He was getting smarter. But what he didn't know was that I had one final trick up my sleeve. So Craig was getting clever. Or at least, he thought he was. I noticed my internet cutting out at random times during the day. At first, I thought it was my provider, but then I checked my router logs again. The brute force attempts were back, but this time, the IP address was masked by a VPN. For those who don't know, a VPN, virtual private network, hides where your internet activity is coming from. Craig had realized I caught him the first time, so now he was trying to cover his tracks. Here's the thing, though, VPNs aren't magic. They make it harder to track someone, but not impossible. And I was ready. Instead of blocking Craig outright, I decided to have some fun. I created a second fake Wi-Fi network named Free Neighborhood Wi-Fi. Then, using some tech my IT friend helped me set up, I made it a honeypot. Basically, it was a fake network that logged every device that connected to it. It didn't actually give anyone internet, but it did record MAC addresses, which are unique to every phone, tablet, or laptop. Within 1 hour, Craig fell for it. He connected. I had his device information. But it got even better, because once he was connected, I programmed it to redirect him to a single web page that said, "Nice try, Craig, smiley face." That night, around 10 p.m., I heard banging on my door. Not knocking, full-on, angry pounding. I opened it to find Craig, red-faced, furious, sweating. Craig, you think you're funny? Me. Yeah, kinda. Craig, you're messing with my internet. That's illegal. I blinked. Me. Wait, your internet? Or my internet? Craig realized his mistake. His eyes darted around like he was searching for a way out. Craig, you know what I mean, man. You can't just hack me like that. Me. Oh, so now hacking is bad? Craig let out this strangled sound, like he wanted to argue but couldn't find the words. Then, instead of speaking like a normal person, he shoved me. Now I'm not a big guy, but I'm not small either. And I don't take well to being pushed on my own porch. I didn't shove him back, I wanted to. But instead I just said me. That was a mistake. Craig. What? You gonna call the cops because I touched you? Me. No. But you might want to check your phone. Craig. What the hell does that? Then his phone dinged. See, before opening the door, I had sent him a text. Just 3 words. Cease. And. Desist. Craig looked down at his phone. His face twisted as he read it. Craig. What the hell is this? Me. That's a legal document. The next time you try to touch me, steal from me, or mess with my network, I'll make sure you regret it. Craig's face went through 5 emotions at once. First anger, then confusion, then realization, then fear, then blank. Craig. Screw you. Then he stormed off. But I wasn't done. See, Craig thought pushing me was just a small thing. A little outburst. No big deal. Except my front porch camera recorded all of it. And I had one last move to make. The next morning, I filed a police report. Not for the Wi-Fi hacking, that was still being handled legally, but for assault. Even if it was just a shove, I had video proof, and the cops had to do something. Craig had no idea what was coming. Filing the police report felt like the smart thing to do. But I didn't expect it to blow up the way it did. I went to the local precinct the next morning, showed them the video of Craig shoving me, and told them about the hacking attempts. The officer on duty took it seriously, not because of the Wi-Fi stuff, which they admitted was a gray area. Unless money was stolen, but because physical assault is never okay. They didn't arrest Craig on the spot, but they opened an investigation. I figured this would scare him into finally backing off. I was wrong. A few days later, things got weird. My power started flickering. Random blackouts, but only in my house. My neighbor's lights? Fine. Street lights? Fine. Just me. At first, I thought it was my power company being unreliable. But then, one night around midnight, I heard metallic clanking outside my house. I checked my security cameras. And there he was. Craig, standing next to my electrical box. I watched in disbelief as this absolute moron unscrewed the panel, flipped my breakers off, and then walked away like nothing happened. I lost it. I ran outside with my phone recording, flashlight in hand. Me. Hey, Craig. What the hell are you doing? Craig froze. He turned slowly, blinking like a deer in headlights. Craig. Your power was acting weird, so I was checking to see if... Me. Do not even try that. I have it on camera. Craig bolted. Full sprint. I checked the electrical box. Sure enough, the breaker from my house had been flipped off. The dude had actually tried to shut off my power as revenge. This time? I called the cops right then and there. The officers arrived within 15 minutes. They asked for my footage, which I happily provided. They knocked on Craig's door. At first, he didn't answer. Then one of the officers loudly said, "If we have to come back with a warrant, this will be a lot worse for you." And just like magic, Craig opened the door. He tried every excuse in the book. I was just checking his box to help. I thought there was a wiring issue. This is a misunderstanding. The officers weren't buying it. They gave him a formal warning. Next time, it would be actual charges. Craig? He was fuming. He barely looked at me as the cops left. But I saw the way his jaw clenched. I knew he wasn't done. I wish I was joking about this part. 3 nights later, at around 2 a.m., I woke up to the sound of sirens. I rushed outside, and saw Craig's backyard on fire. The flames were high enough to touch his roof. His fence was catching. Smoke was pouring into the sky. I grabbed my phone and dialed 911, but the fire department was already pulling up. Craig was outside barefoot, in complete panic mode. And then I saw it, the remains of a burned-out extension cord running from his garage. It didn't take long for the firefighters to figure out what happened. Craig had been stealing power. Apparently, after the cops warned him, Craig decided to run an illegal power hookup from a streetlight to his garage, probably thinking it would let him mooch electricity while messing with mine. Except, he screwed up the wiring. Something overloaded. Caught fire. Spread to his shed, then his fence, then his backyard. And just like that, karma came knocking. The fire department put it out before it spread to his house, but his garage was wrecked. The best part? The fire report noted that the cause was an unauthorized electrical setup. And since Craig was already on police radar for his other antics, the city decided to press charges. Tampering with city property, the streetlight hookup. Endangering public safety, the fire. Attempted unauthorized access to my property, based on the hacking complaints and electrical tampering. Craig wasn't arrested yet, but he was fined thousands and put on probation. And the cherry on top? His landlord found out about everything. Eviction incoming? Turns out, Craig wasn't even the homeowner. He was renting from a guy who lived out of state. And when his landlord got wind of fire damage, illegal power setups, and police involvement, let's just say, a for rent sign went up on Craig's house 2 weeks later. But Craig? He still had one last trick up his sleeve. Craig should have cut his losses and left. After the fire, after the police warnings, after getting slapped with fines and probation, any normal person would have taken the hint. But Craig wasn't normal. Instead of keeping his head down and dealing with his self-inflicted disaster, he decided to go out swinging. It started with small things. Trash mysteriously ended up in my yard. My mailbox got, accidentally, knocked over. A random car, conveniently the same make and model as Craig's, sped down our quiet street at 3 a.m. and screeched to a stop in front of my house before peeling off. But the real breaking point came when I woke up one morning, stepped outside, and found a for sale sign staked into my front lawn. A real one. With a fake listing taped to it. For sale, owner fleeing financial ruin. Motivated seller. Call anytime. And Craig? He was on his porch, coffee in hand, watching me. Smirking. I saw red. I stormed across the lawn, ripped the sign out of the ground, and marched straight to Craig's porch. He didn't move. Me. You really think this is funny? Craig took a slow sip of coffee. Craig. I don't know what you're talking about. Me. You're a joke. A grown man throwing a tantrum because you couldn't steal internet. Do you even hear yourself? Craig's smirk twitched. Craig. You've been out to get me from the start. Me. Oh, you mean when you hacked my Wi-Fi? Cut my power? Started a fire? His face turned red. But it wasn't just anger, it was something else. Me. You can't blame me for your life falling apart. You did this. You ruined yourself. Craig stood up so fast his chair toppled over. Craig, you think you're so much better than me? Me? No, Craig. I think I'm not a complete idiot. And then, he snapped. Craig screamed. Loudly. And here's the thing, our quiet little suburban street. It has an audience. By the time Craig started losing it, neighbors were stepping outside, peeking through blinds, pausing their dog walks. Craig, you ruined my life, you piece of... Me. You ruined your own life, Craig. And then, before I could say another word, he shoved me. Again. Except this time, he wasn't just shoving me. This time, he lunged. Craig actually tried to swing at me. I dodged. Barely. And that's when I heard it. Enough! Mrs. Rivera, the sweetest elderly woman on the block, the same woman who baked cookies for new neighbors and fed stray cats, stepped right between us. Mrs. Rivera. Craig, that is enough. Craig blinked, breathing hard. His face shaking. Mrs. Rivera wasn't done. Mrs. Rivera. We all see what you are. You are a liar, a thief, and a fool. Craig actually flinched. Like her words hit harder than any punch ever could. Mrs. Rivera. This is our neighborhood. And you are not welcome anymore. Then, like something out of a movie, more neighbors stepped forward. Mr. Patel, the guy who never spoke more than a sentence to anyone, crossed his arms and nodded. A mom with a stroller? Shook her head in disgust. Even the old guy 3 houses down who hated everyone muttered. Disgrace. Craig looked around. And for the first time in his miserable, entitled life, he realized he had lost. Craig didn't say another word. He just turned, stormed inside, and slammed his door so hard a wind chime fell off his porch. 2 hours later, his landlord's real estate agent showed up. For real this time. By the next week, the eviction notice was taped to his door. Craig had 30 days to leave. And he did, in 5. No one helped him pack. No one said goodbye. When the moving truck finally pulled away, people cheered. Craig was gone. The house sat empty for months before a new family moved in, a quiet couple with a golden retriever. Life went back to normal. But the thing about people like Craig? They don't just disappear. A few months later, I got a call from a random number. It was a cop from a nearby city. Craig had been arrested for, get this, stealing from his new neighbor. Somehow, I wasn't surprised. The cop asked if I wanted to press additional charges for everything he did to me. I thought about it. But then I just laughed. Me? Nah. He's already paying for it. And I hung up. Craig was the kind of guy who thought the world owed him something. When life didn't go his way, he blamed everyone else. Me? I learned that people like Craig will always exist. But if you stand your ground, if you refuse to let them walk all over you, eventually they self-destruct. And honestly? Watching karma do its thing? Way more satisfying than revenge.